my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Wednesday video where I answer your questions. It's also the last week that you have to help me fund my Kickstarter. I'm really close to the break-even point. I'm really hoping to get to the break-even point and hopefully get to that next point where I can actually pay for potentially the next issue of the series of Golden Age Girls. If you like Golden Age Girls, you have to check out the Kickstarter because I show some pretty awesome covers. Some pretty great information is inside each comic. And yeah, just check it out. The link is in the description. So that's a bonus thing. Just check it out. It'll be awesome. Let's get into the questions though. The first question comes from JB. What do you think of coverless Golden Age or Silver Age comics? Personally, I don't like coverless books generally. I have to say, like, to be honest, like, you want a complete book. However, I do see, I would never throw away, I should say. I never would throw away a coverless book. I still see the value of them. And I even bought at a high price a Golden Age coverless book. And I'll show you the one I bought. I've shown this a few times now. Is this one. This is a Triumph Adventure Comics #1. It's the first appearance of Nelvana. And Nelvana is a Canadian iconic comic book character. She's the first female superhero for Canada. And she's actually a character that predates Wonder Woman. So just a very cool first appearance. And this book is so hard to find that if you can find it with a cover, you're lucky. But even finding it without a cover, you have to be pretty lucky. So I was quite happy to get this, even though it doesn't have a cover. And generally, in terms of coverless, like non-valuable books, I actually see them as being something that people should save. Because a lot of the time you can either have the situation where you find a cover and no book, or or you find a coverless one and then you find a cover later. So I generally recommend keeping them. Or coverless books also have the value of sometimes, especially in the Golden Age, the centerfold will fall out, or pages will fall out. While having coverless copies, you can use them to Frankenstein some book later on. So they have a lot of merit and value. I've actually seen coverless books generally being sought after by collectors who do want to Frankenstein some major book. And with certain more valuable Golden Age coverless books, like the coverless books can actually be a thing where you can cut the pages. It sounds horrible, but you can cut the pages and sell them individually. So there is value there. I'm actually looking for a few coverless copies where I actually have the cover but not the comic, which is odd. But so I am looking for some coverless books for the fact that they're coverless and a little bit more affordable. Generally though, when you're looking for coverless books, you want to find ones that have a key first appearance inside, where the cover is not the key feature of the book. Generally, those will be more expensive though, just to be aware. Or you look for ones where there is a situation where a lot of the ones that you see on the census are 0.5s, where they're missing a centerfold, and having a coverless copy, maybe you can pick up that missing centerfold that will make the other books more valuable. So something to consider. Okay, next question comes from AJ Guiz. He wrote, nice Vampirella covers. I enjoy Vampirella for the articles myself. And I think he's joking. Along the lines of last week's question, what are some key and valuable covers that people collect? I'm going to actually show you kind of the more obvious ones in a way. I'm going to show you the magazines. I'm going to tell you a couple of comics that you can go for as well. So I'm going to show you the Vampirella, a little bit of my Vampirella collection. We're going to start out with the most obvious one, Vampirella #1. And Vampirella #1 obviously is her first appearance. It also introduces her home world, which is Draculun, and it's a planet where the water is blood, and they survive by drinking the blood of the planet. And this is, a kind of a major book, and it's also a Frazetta cover. So very major one, iconic cover that's been homaged many times. Just a really great Vampirella book. So that's the first one. Next is Vampirella #2. So in this you get the first appearance of Draculina, who is Vampirella's sister, and also you get first appearance of Evely, which is Vampirella's cousin, and that's the girl that's on the cover here. So kind of two major characters, and it's the second appearance of Vampirella. So kind of a cool book, nice cover too. And this one is one that, if you can find it, it's actually quite hard to come across. Just, it's one where you have to remember the cover. So if you see this one, it's Vampirella #3. It was even rare back in the Silver Age when it came out. Just a really hard book to find. So look for this one. It's Vampirella #3. And it used to, back in the day, I should say, go for as much as Vampirella #1. So just a rare issue, one to look for. And then you got Vampirella #5, which is Frank Frazetta cover. Just a key book for the Frazetta art. And it's also a nude, which kind of adds a little bit more value to it. So that's another major one. Frazetta kind of had a major, his books generally go for a little bit more. But this one is a kind of a key one. This is Vampirella #6, and it's got some Frank Frazetta in it. The face was redone by Frank Frazetta, but the rest is Ken Kelly. And this is actually his first published artwork. So that makes it a key in itself. And Ken Kelly is another one of these really great artists from the Bronze Age. So Vampirella #6. And then we get another great Frazetta cover, Vampirella #7. Just a beautiful, beautiful cover. So just one to look for. Just a great cover. And that was used for many posters as well. And then we got Vampirella #8, which is a major book for Vampirella collectors. This is, in a weird way, maybe more important than Vampirella #1. Because in Vampirella #1, it sort of introduces Vampirella, and it's her first appearance, but she becomes just like a host. She's not like a character with her own series. She's just a character that introduces the stories, the anthology stories within Vampirella. And it's really in this book where we get Vampirella to have her own story. And it changes the very fabric of the magazine itself, where instead of being more of an anthology book about just random stories of horror, it became a series of Vampirella stories. So this one, it kind of changed the whole nature of Vampirella and made her really a character that people would want to read about. It also introduces two of the major nemesis / allies of Vampirella, which are Adam Van Helsing and Conrad Van Helsing. Now, Adam Van Helsing is the love interest for Vampirella, and Conrad is his father, and they're vampire killers. And they actually, at the beginning, they actually stalk Vampirella and try to kill her. So, and it was a story written by Archie Goodwin. So, and then we got Vampirella #11, also a really great cover. I forget who did it. I want to say Frazetta, but I'm not sure. It might be Ken Kelly as well. So this one is just a really great one because it's the first appearance of Mordecai Pendragon, who is a major character for Vampirella. It's kind of like her sidekick. He's a magician, kind of a very bad magician, but he's her ally in the comic, so or in the magazine, I should say. So Vampirella number 11. So those are the key ones for the Vampirella comics or magazines. But then if you want to get some kind of cool covers, there's an Adam Hughes one, which is Vampirella number 2 from the Harris issues. There's also Vampirella number 12 from 2015 that has a great Jenny Frisen cover, and it's highly sought after by collectors. Now, on Key Collector, they say it's worth like $30, but it really goes for about 80 to even up to 150. I've seen it go up for. So if you can find it, it's a very simple cover. It's very close up on Vampirella's face with her holding a scythe. So look for that one. It's one that's a little bit under the radar, but Vampirella collectors and Jenny Frisen collectors pay big money for it. So 2005 Vampirella number 12. Okay, hopefully that answers your question well, and I hope you enjoyed that. Next question comes from Quasi Terrible. My question for this week is, I noticed that it has become common for artists to sign their cover art in the modern age. Are there any examples of artists putting their signatures on their covers in the Golden Age or Silver Age? Yes. Now, it was extremely rare, extremely rare for artists to sign their covers in the Silver Age, or both the Silver and Golden Age. Now, there were a few artists that just pretty much always signed, and I'll show you some of those, and I'll show you some that, it's not as common that they signed it, but they would sign it. Reason that they wouldn't sign it is a lot of the comics back in the Golden Age were done by packager houses, which would basically have like a stable of artists that would all work together, and sometimes they would work in collaboration to produce covers. There's a few covers that are kind of considered iconic covers that I think actually are a mashup of multiple artists. And that was common, that they would work together and they would produce a lot of covers, and they would get no signature on the cover. They would just get no respect for the work that they did. But there were a few artists that people recognized, and people would actually say, oh, this is a really great artist in the Golden Age, and would demand their artwork. A few that I can think of off the top of my head would be like Matt Baker, L.B. Cole, Alex Shamberg, Johnny Craig, Jack Davis, and there's a bunch, that Wally Wood. And these were artists that were actually celebrities in the day. So they would get often you would see their artwork signed by them. And I'll show you some of their signed artwork. So this is Weird Science, number 18 or 16. I always forget the issue number. Number 16. And right there, let me zoom in. You can see that it's signed by Wally Wood, or Wallace Wood. So this is kind of a major one. This was actually later adopted for Mars Attacks. Just a really great cover. I love this one. So Wally Wood was kind of like a big dog back in the EC days. He would get fan letters, and he was very, very popular. Another artist that was very popular in the Golden Age and still popular today is L.B. Cole, and you can see his signature right there. And he really commonly, like pretty much most of the L.B. Cole covers have his signature. And it's only the early books that he did where you don't see his signature. So, L.B. Cole. And one that's more rare, actually, even though I mentioned him when I said, oh, these would be the artists that were famous in the Golden Age. One of the more rare signing artists would be Matt Baker. But he does have a few where he has signed it. So this is Matt Baker's signing of the cover, and it's not that common to see his signatures. There are a few titles that would be signed by him, but Canteen Kate was kind of his own creation, so I think he deserved to have his signature on it. So this is Canteen Kate number 1. But just a great Matt Baker cover. And one of the more interesting ones that would sign stuff was Alex Shamberg, who on some covers, just to maintain his take credit, but maintain his like secretiveness about having done the cover, because he was working for different publishers. He would sometimes sign his name Zila, which is Alex backwards. But sometimes you can find the non-Zila ones where he signed it Shamberg. And this is an example of him signing it Alex, just Shamberg. Sometimes you'll see a Shamberg as well. So this is America Best Comics with my one of my favorite characters, Miss Mask, who's in the comic book that I created. So if you really got to check out the Kickstarter, it's in the link. It's in the description. So check that out. But I mentioned Miss Mask in it, so because I really like that character. Okay, and we got, as I mentioned, Jack Davis is another one. Let me take this out. It's a beautiful book. I gotta kind of show it a bit. So that's Jack Davis. I really love this cover. It's a restored book, but I don't mind. I really love this cover. I think it's fun. So Jack Davis is another one that would sign his books fairly frequently. EC was actually pretty good about letting their artists sign the covers. I think partly because Bill Gaines really respected their artists and really collaborated with them to make EC a success. So yeah, so this is Jack Davis. And I'm going to show some more EC books because, as I said, they were really good about allowing their artists to sign them. So we got Weird Fantasy. This is Al Felstein. And again, he's more of a recognized artist. One sec here. I can't really get it. There we go. Al Felstein. He had a really cool signature. You can see it right there. Very stylized. So this is Weird Fantasy. Really cool robot cover. And some of his early artwork he didn't sign. So like Junior and Sunny are kind of two books that he put a lot of work into. He did all the writing and all the artwork, and they're unsigned. But later on, when he became a more recognized artist, he got to get his signature on the covers. And another really famous artist that got his signatures on the covers was Johnny Craig. We got Johnny Craig. And he did so many great EC covers. This is Vault of Horror. Great hanging cover with Johnny Craig art. So, as I said, it was very rare that you see Golden Age artists with their signatures on the covers. And as I was saying, that it was certain publishers that were a little bit more open to it than others. If you look at most DC comics, they really weren't open to the idea of the artists signing it. I think Marvel was the same way, where you don't really see many Marvel books where the artist has signed it. But EC was very friendly to the idea. Actually, they used the celebrity of their artists to really promote the comics. So, good marketing. And I think that's really what's happened in the modern era, where the artist's celebrity is what sells the books. So, they had it right at EC. Okay, next question comes from KMunn. In this video, you showed off several comics that sell for a hefty price. There are comics that you feel... Are there comics that you feel greatly undervalued that collectors should be buying now? I'm going to give you one. So I was actually going to talk about the general state of the market, that right now everything is undervalued. But then I thought, oh, that's sort of a cheap answer. I almost felt like, oh, it's like saying like, buy what you love. And that's sort of a non-answer answer. I figured you really want to see a good spec. I'm going to give you a spec. Whether it's a good spec or not, I think it's undervalued. So this is my opinion. This book is undervalued, and it's a true book, actually. And I'm going to show it to you and explain why I think it's great and why I think it's undervalued. So it's this one. Barbarella. Just this big book. I mean, it is a big book. It is a hardcover book from 1966. Is by Grove Press. So look for that Grove Press. And it has this almost like Liechtenstein kind of style pop art, kind of like very dotted style cover. Roy Liechtenstein is what I was thinking. Just a really great cover, and it's a great comic. Inside is like the story of Barbarella, and this is her first appearance. Now, this book was done in French originally, and is one where you learn about Barbarella, and she became kind of a cult character, a very popular character, and they even made a Barbarella movie. Now, Barbarella was so popular that they actually created a character based on her that was a little different, kind of a similar character called Vampirella. So Barbarella is actually the inspiration for Vampirella. So I'm a big Vampirella fan. She's my favorite female character. I'm a big Vampirella fan. And this book is kind of like that inspiration, the prototype maybe. Even though she's not a vampire, not really related, just similar name at the end of the day, and can't be. But Barbarella, they're planning to make a new movie with a Barbarella. So I think people might go back and kind of look for this book and kind of see the collectability of it. And it's quite hard to find, actually. And just a really cool piece of history for, inspiring Vampirella. So it's something I like. I'm a big collector of these characters that inspire other characters or prototype characters, but also things that I love the movies. I actually like the Barbarella movie. It's so campy and cool. And when I like a movie, I try to find the comics that relate to it. I know it's weird. Barbarella is kind of one of those ones. It was actually a rabbit hole that I went down where I was like searching everything for Barbarella for a while. Her comic actually is much, much later. If you want to find her first comic book appearance, and it's a very cheap book, it's a cheap spec because it's like $2 or something like that. It's Barbarella #1, I believe, from 2019 era from Dynamite Comics. So look for that, and you can find Barbarella's first appearance, and it's dirt cheap. It's, as I said, it's a $2 spec. And it could be something that is worth a bit more because, as I said, there is a movie coming out, and it might revive the interest in the character. Now, the Barbarella book, you probably are looking at anywhere from $50 on the very, very low end for a very beat-up copy that might not have the dust jacket, to several $100s on the high end where it's a very minty copy with a very pretty, pristine dust jacket. So that's kind of the price range for it. Hope that helps. I hope that spec pans out, and you never know, right? Next question comes from Troy Evans. I'm on the hunt for some comics that are absolute ghosts from the Golden Age. And he lists them out. And he asked, do you have any of these issues to show? Okay, so we'll go through the list and I'll say yes, no, okay? So the first one is Detective Comics number 159. Sorry, I do not have that book. I don't really collect Detective Comics for the most part. So, and I really am a key collector for certain types of books. So Detective Comics, Adventure Comics, Action Comics, those ones I'm not really trying to get a run of. I just want to get the key appearance books, just so you know. So Detective Comics number 90, again, don't have. Adventure Comics 142, don't have it either. So 3 out of the first 3, sorry, don't have. The last one is Wonder Woman 49. Yes, I do have it, and it is quite rare. It's a hard book to find. I have a copy right here. So this is Wonder Woman 49. It's a great Wonder Woman cover. And this one actually was mentioned in the Seduction of the Innocent. So it is rare for that reason as well. because it is one of the more notorious Wonder Woman books, because, you know, it was mentioned in The Seduction of the Innocent. And it was mentioned in The Seduction of the Innocent because they felt like it had lesbian overtones to it, especially between Wonder Woman, and she adopts this young girl, and they felt like there was kind of a lesbian romance there. Well, Wortham felt like that there was. Whether that's true or not, hard to say. based on the writer, I wouldn't have my doubts, but yeah, that was the issue with this book. And it's maybe one, because of the being more notorious, it might be one of the ones that was more frequently destroyed, and it is one that is hard to find, because people generally, if they get it, they keep it in their collection. Now, I actually saw one, and I think they actually advertised it as the Hell book, or the like something like that. It was like, because back in the day, as I said, it was notorious. And this is a funny story where somebody basically, because it had that lesbian overtone, they wrote like, "You're going to go to hell," and all this kind of crazy stuff all over the cover. Like, they just wrote all over the cover, saying how evil the book was for its, lesbian overtones. And somebody sold it as the Hell copy or something like that. It's kind of funny. Actually went for a pretty good price. So that's Wonder Woman 49. I hope you enjoyed. That's the only one I had of the list. But if you have a question you would like me to answer, put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer it. If you could do me the favor of checking out my Kickstarter, this is the last week. It is down to the wire. I really need everyone's support. Please check it out. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.